There are two ways I could approach this Dharma Talk today, and I'm still kind of on the fence on which way to go with it. Do I provide the symbolism and the metaphor first, and then the actual literal teaching, or do I provide the literal teaching, which would then expand upon the metaphor? I don't know which way to go. So I'll start the way that I prepared it this morning, which was with the actual astrological lineups, meaning the material reality on the macrocosmic level of this approaching experience of Jupiter moving into Aries. And this is going to be last time that this transit took place was in about 12 years ago. So think about yourself, maybe 12 years ago, the energy that you were working with. And when we talk about planets moving into new signs, planets moving into new houses, Aries is always a very interesting transit, a planet moving into Aries, especially a planet as significant and as impactful as Jupiter. Jupiter is the high teacher. Actually, let me read to you a little bit about the mythology and the symbology of Jupiter as it pertains to Vedic astrology. Classical symbolisms: wealth, truth, guru, spiritual path, belief system, philosophy, faith, duty, devotion, teachers, divine grace, wisdom, law, logic, good karma, luck, generosity, respect, husband, children, close friends, mantras, scriptures in the northeast direction. Physical associations within the body: liver, gallbladder, thighs, spleen, ears, fat, large body. Could be also kapha, or in Ayurveda, Jupiter is associated with phlegmatic, right? Like mucus, kapha. Jupiter is the planet of truth and abundance. It is an expansive and benevolent planet that blesses anything it touches in the horoscope by supporting and promoting its significance. This is from James Kelleher's book, Path of Light, Volume 1. As the prime benefic, Jupiter represents everything which brings us more knowledge, prosperity, and ultimately spiritual wisdom. On the material level, Jupiter represents prosperity. It is the significator of wealth and money. Its expansive nature encourages us to move forward, more abundant in life. Although it is a planet of luck, the good fortune represented by Jupiter actually results from positive actions and thoughts done in the past, right? Good karma. Jupiter represents a portion of our good karma from past lives. Wherever it is placed in the chart becomes an area of potential prosperity or fortune. Jupiter is also the planet of knowledge. It is intimately linked with the academics and education, but usually indicates the higher form of knowledge. It represents teachers and others who are authorities on various subjects. Symbolizes professions that require high academic achievement, like medicine and law. Jupiter is a planet of intelligence and creativity, conferring the capacity to grasp broad philosophical principles and to formulate our belief systems. In this respect, Jupiter represents our relationship to conventions, traditions, and other philosophies received through the family, religion, or society. In other words, anything that contributes to the pursuit of higher knowledge in life is usually related to Jupiter in some way. The pursuit of knowledge, as symbolized by Jupiter, has a higher form as well. Jupiter represents the quest for ultimate truth along a spiritual path. Its Sanskrit name, Guru, the teacher, so it indicates priests, philosophers, spiritual teachers of all kind. Jupiter also represents the enlightened teacher, the one who is capable of leading us to the perception of inner truth. Even the enlightened teacher, however, is only a reflection of our own inner truth, which is what Jupiter really represents. On the highest level, Jupiter shows how we access the truth and divine grace which naturally flows from that contact. When its deepest value is realized, Jupiter becomes a source of steadfast inner knowledge which blesses the life with freedom and unlimited potential. It's really beautiful, right? So we understand that the planet is not just a planet in the context of how it relates to our experience. The planet provides an energy, as I've described, in our lives, in our being. And so Jupiter on the 22nd of April is moving into the sign of Aries. All right, let's talk a little bit about Aries. Everyone's got your nerd caps on, right? Because it's going to be a minute. Aries. This is a sign. And Aries lords a house. And for each of you with different rising signs, Jill and Howard are both Libra risings. I'm not, you might be too, I can't recall. Maybe you're Scorpio rising. Anyway, where...
I was Sagittarius.
Oh, you are Sagittarius.
Yeah.
I'm a Libra rising.
I'm the Libra too, yeah.
Anyway, so for each of you, Aries lords a different house depending on your rising sign. So let's talk about Aries. And this energy would be represented in a particular area of life where this house sits, with the house that Aries sits in. Independence. When the ascendant, sun, moon, or other focal planets are in Aries, life takes on a major theme of self-discovery. Strong personal desires and ambitiously working to fulfill them. Assertive, fiery natures combined with good planning ability often contribute to success in the outer world. Forceful, impulsive, bold. Activities that mentally challenge. Planners, schemers maybe even, are willing to take a chance on a new adventure or a new idea. Proving themselves by actualizing their plans. Impulsive, headstrong, sometimes gets in the way, causing one to act impatiently in spite of good advice from others. Moves beyond egocentric tendencies as the spiritual nature evolves. Leadership provides direction. Search for self-realization. All of the independent, individualistic tendencies. A reflection of an undying desire for pure spiritual awareness. Trial and error process. Transcend the ego in order to become self-realized. So this is some of the qualities spiritually and personally that Aries would reflect in us. So now Jupiter is moving into the sign of Aries. How does that divine guru come in and take a lot of this fiery energy and apply it? And that's where understanding the Nakshatra, the constellation that it will be in between approximately 0 degrees to 13 degrees and 20 minutes. There are 3 nakshatras that operate within Aries. You have Ashwini, which is the one we're going to be talking about today, because this is the first nakshatra of Aries, where Jupiter is going to grace its way into. It's also going to be time when we're moving through a solar eclipse. It's also going to be the time when Mercury is retrograde. So this power of Ashwini is going to be very strong. So we can understand the symbolism of it and understand how Jupiter is going to want to express itself through the lens of Aries. Okay? So Ashwini, the nakshatra of Ashwini, is symbolized by 2 divine physicians that are horse tamers. The symbol is the head of the horse. It associates with healing. It's a very healing nakshatra, associated with natural healing, modalities that are radical. And by radical, I mean natural, foundational. Breaking through the barriers of the seed shell. Transforming from one dimension to the other. So in this context, Jupiter is going to be breaking open minds, new creations, self-initiation into a higher spiritual realm, into a more connected space with truth and sattvic nature. We're going to be maybe even trading off one desire for a new vision, right? Moving from Pisces into Aries, moving from water into fire. We'll be trading off one desire for a new vision, an evolved perspective, maybe something you've been working toward, right? Think about how many times in your life you've had this vision and you finally come to realize it and you're like, God, I don't even want it anymore. all the evolution that it took for me to get to this place, and now once I'm at this place, I don't want it anymore. That happened to me in my legal career. I reached that space and I was like, huh. And then I completely switched gears. So, and this is a 12-year cycle of Jupiter moving into Aries. This is an upgrading of ideas, perspective, desires. Your want and your desire shifts and it evolves. New knowledge coming, overcoming, breaking through past illusion. Unlearning and relearning. Spirituality will be tested. And when we think of, spirituality will be tested, we often think, what does that mean? That's going to be tough. That's going to be like my whole understanding of God is going to be dismantled or something. No, not necessarily. It can mean that you've been walking a particular walk and talking a particular talk spiritually, and now there's an ante that's been upped that says, okay, what are you going to do now? How are you going to approach it? If this is your truth and this is your reality that you've been speaking, how are you going to carry it into this new dimension? It could be an exciting thing, a fun thing. Perhaps an ending that may cause you to cling a little bit, right? To an old identity, an old commitment, something you've worked really hard for, right? Saying, I wanted to do this and I worked really hard for it. Now that I'm here, I got to let it go? Really? Can't I just try and renegotiate the situation? So there will be some clinging. And when you notice yourself during this time between April 22nd and June 21st, which is while Jupiter will be transiting the Ashwini Nakshatra in Aries, try and see if you can plant a seed to remember this conversation. Oh, here I am clinging. This is one of the things that I'm going to have to let go of. There's a chapter that may be ending. Again, not necessarily bad. Could be the end of a sad chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. Desires, mindsets will change. We must face the fears and the clinging. Saturn's aspects from Aquarius will ask us to cut out what is unnecessary, right? If you've been, unconsciously spending, or you've been holding on to things, like maybe it's time to clean out the house. Just the other day, I have this file cabinet, and it was horrifying. If you open it up, it's like there's colored pencils, there's pencil shavings, there's tax returns. So I cleaned out everything, and now it's super organized. So maybe there's something like that, and that, I wasn't aware of what I'm aware of now after researching this. I was like, wow, that was kind of that playing its role. It's like letting go of what you don't need, letting go of that what's holding you back, and cluttering up your life. And being in acceptance of understanding that when Jupiter moves into Aries, it's a new 12-year cycle. There's going to be some shift, some change, some evolution, some growth. How can you be in acceptance of this new phase and not cling to what's familiar and comfortable? And the teachings of Jupiter, as I described, what Jupiter's going to offer, has a lot to be rewarding in this. Now remember, the first week is going to, this coming week, Monday through Saturday even, is going to be intense because we have a solar eclipse, Mercury retrograde, and Jupiter moving into this new house. So a lot of intense energies. So remember what it is that keeps you grounded. Remember what it is that keeps you expanded, and put it to use. Now, after I wrote this, I listened to a Ram Dass lecture, which I usually do every Saturday, even if I've listened to it 700 times before. But this is a new one that they just posted. And it was from, I believe, 1982 or 1984. And he starts the lecture within the first 5 to 10 minutes with this riddle, this koan. And it is this. Close your eyes and just open your ears to listen. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. And so when you first look at that, it's like a dichotomy, right? You're like, okay, so it's telling me one way is more advantageous than the other. If I know, I don't speak, or I can't speak. What does that mean? Am I somehow restrained or restricted? If I do speak, I'm coming from a place of not knowing, of no knowledge, of maybe even compulsion. So what good is it to speak if you're speaking from a place of not knowing? And what good is it to know if you can't share what you know? Right? That's what I think a lot of people approach that riddle with. But it's interesting when we start to evolve in consciousness how we can see things differently because words hold different symbolism. See if we can, again, repeat this in a way, if you can receive it with a neutral charge. Valuing both equally. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. It is a teaching about cultivating and integrating the witness, which opens up connection to divine awareness. The part that recommends or offers the education that he who knows does not speak is telling us that the part of ourselves the part of ourselves that does not speak is in the state of knowing, right? It just is. It's the I amness. The I amness doesn't need to speak. The I amness just is. It's being, not doing. That's very Jupiter. Very Jupiterian, right? And then let's say, he who speaks does not know. It is telling us that the ego, the self, the part of ourself that does, is not a source of wisdom ultimately. It must serve the knower. The doer must serve the knower. That's Aries, right? So ego. So if Jupiter moving into Aries, moving into Ashwini, moving into this healing space, where we can start to take a higher perspective of the witness and integrate it into the ego in a transformational way. It is an evolution of consciousness that's happening with Jupiter moving into Aries in this Ashwini Nakshatra. And so this phrase that I heard today, I was like, God, it's like he's literally my angel. I just did all this work on Jupiter and Aries, and then I'm hearing him tell me how Jupiter and Aries are expressed here in this riddle, in this koan. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. Both of those elements live within us. We need to evolve to understand what roles each of these parts of ourselves are playing. We have the knower that is guiding the speaker. We have the beer that is guiding the doer. That's Jupiter moving into Aries. Yeah?
I feel like we should do that.
A beatnik snap. I love that. Thank you.